On the news, legislation on the implementation of National Convention in Nigerian Marine Sector passes second reading at the Senate.
Maritime Labour and for Related Matters 2024, second reading taken.
Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, make case for women inclusivity in politics.
Let us draw inspiration from the successful examples in other jurisdictions and contemplate how these insights can shape the decision of our legislature.
Plus, dry season farming, Minister of Agri assures of 1 million metric tons for rice.
But we intend to cultivate about 55,000 hectares, which will impact 110,000 farmers.
Good evening and welcome to Parliamentary News, coming to you from Abuja, the nation's capital city. I am Abubakar Galadima. A legislation seeking to enhance procedures and strategies for the implementation of international conventions in Nigerian marine environment for economic empowerment and national development has passed second reading at Senate. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The maritime-related bill seeks to promote maritime safety and security, as well as provide protection for the nation's marine environment through the repeal and reenactment of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency by expanding its scope.
Its jurisdiction extends to crafts flying a foreign flag in the exclusive economic zone, territorial and inland seas, inland waterways, and within the ports of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
This administration created a ministry that is charged with the responsibility of dealing with blue economy. And this was done against the background of the fact that there is the need for us to diversify our economy.
Protection of the marine environment, ship registration and commercial shipping, Maritime Labour and for Related Matters 2024, second reading taken.
Also passed at second reading is the bill from the Senate leader, Ogbeyemi Bamidele, which seeks amendments to the National Assembly Library Trust Fund.
The bill proposes to change the National Assembly Library Trust Fund to the National Assembly Library and Resource Center. This change is more than a name alteration. Distinguished colleagues, it symbolizes a shift towards inclusivity, accessibility, and the recognition of the evolving needs of our nation's greatest institution.
5 bills passed first reading. Among them is the bill that seeks amendments to the Mutual Legal Assistance in Criminal Matters Act. Meanwhile, Senate says it will investigate the technical hitch that affected electricity supply to the chamber, which caused slight delay to the commencement of plenary.
Often when we are sitting, they use the gen. And unfortunately today, our own gen developed a short problem that has gotten to do with the fuel system.
It is the first incident in the temporary chamber used by the lawmakers for plenary. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Activities marking this year's Women's Day kick-started with the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, emphasizing the importance of implementing transformative strategies to narrow down gender disparity in political appointments and elective positions. The event was organized by the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center with the support of the European Union. Amina Sayidu reports.
The event, a platform for women parliamentarians to network, collaborate and build strategic partnerships, featuring discussions on how to utilize democratic space to elect more women in the parliament.
As we convene to discuss strategies for enhancing women's political representation, let us draw inspiration from the successful examples in other jurisdictions and contemplate how these insights can shape the decision of our legislature regarding women's participation in governance.
Even when you get the women elected, I'm sorry to say, even within the chambers and the House, there's a lot of discrimination and lack of inclusion. You may not want us to say so here, but that is the reality. In a place where there are 4 women or 14 women, I would think that inclusion should be very easy, but it's not.
Women's participation and women's perception in politics help advance not only citizens' equality, but also affects both the range of policy issues that are considered and the type of solutions that are proposed. Whether a legislator is male or female has a distinct impact on their policy priorities.
With a theme inspiring inclusion, building bridges, and empowering women in politics, stakeholders address the challenges women face with strategies to alter the narrative.
The recent elections in Nigeria in 2023 completely underscores the challenge we have in Nigeria with women representation. When you have a situation where you have 109 senators and only 4 of them, one barely got in a few months ago through the court process. But when you have 109 senators and you have only 4 women, that's really a challenge for a country.
Amina Saidu, NTA News.
Joining us to throw more light on some of the burning issues in the 2024 International Women's Day celebration is the Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Women in Parliament, Fatima Talba. Now, looking at the theme, Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress, what are the burning issues surrounding Nigerian women?
We are at least advocating that women should be given chance to also contribute their quota in the national building, politically and otherwise. So what we are now targeting with this sort of togetherness here is to ensure that we look for a way forward to including more women to come on board into politics through every possible means that is going to be achievable. We are going to so many ways. We will see how many ways we will find so that we can use them as tools to achieving our goals.
What are the roles of political parties in this struggle?
Political party, in fact, is the primary center for this advocacy. We need to advocate to them. All political parties have their constitutions. Once they get these things enshrined in their constitution, allowing women at least some slots for inclusiveness, not only for elective but also appointed positions in the state. I think that is a starting point. And political parties really will play a role, because once it is stipulated in the party constitution, then nobody will have anything to go against it. And definitely we're going to start achieving what we want to achieve from there.
What is your assessment of Nigerian women towards inclusivity, especially as the National Assembly gears up for the 6th alteration of the 1999 Constitution?
You see, what we are having in the country now is not healthy for the women, because we are not encouraged in any aspect whatsoever. We are never encouraged. You will see that from the northern part of the country, probably only 3 of us. 1 from Borno, 2 from Yobe, and none from the Kano, Jigawa, the central states. No woman at all from those places. But definitely we had one before from in Plateau, and she lost out in court. For the representation is extremely poor. We need to put some special measures through lobbying. We need to go and lobby the House of Assemblies in the states so that before the arrival of their constitutional, before the arrival of the papers for the Constitution Review Committee, they should do something about it.
What strategies are you deploying this time around during amendments?
Yes, we are bringing back the issue of the gender bill. I'm one of the members of the Constitution Review Committees. We will ensure that we lobby intensively to, even governors will not leave them behind because they have a say in the states. We will lobby them. We will lobby the House of Assemblies. We will do everything possible to see that at least more women now come to play. We are out of about 400 and something in the National Assembly, both red and green chambers. We only have 18 female members, 4 in the Senate, 14 in the National Assembly, the green chambers. It's completely inadequate. It's grossly inadequate. We need to have at least in the National Assembly or the green chambers should have not less than at least 50 or 70 females.
Thank you very much, Hajia Fatima Talba, for your insight. And now to some cheering news. 1 million tons of rice will be produced within the next 3 months, following dry season interventions to farmers under the National Agricultural Growth Scheme. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, says this is part of short-term measures to guarantee national food security. He was speaking at the House of Representatives sectoral debate with stakeholders in the agricultural sector. National Assembly correspondent Mitare Ikben reports.
We are currently facing tough times in this country.
The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security admits that the nation's food crisis is challenging. He listed the remote and recent causes to include the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, incessant farmers-herders clashes, and smuggling of food to neighboring countries. With food security topping the 8-point agenda of the Tinubu administration, he highlighted dry season interventions.
Maize is not as much as rice in the dry season, but we intend to cultivate about 55,000 hectares, which will impact 110,000 farmers and a yield of 220,000 metric tons. Cassava also is 35,000 hectares with 70,000 farmers and a yield of 525,000 tons. So we're looking at a total of 250,000 hectares of rice for the dry season, which will mean impacting on 500,000 farmers.
The minister also emphasized the need for mechanized agriculture.
We are under-tractorized. Today, I'm not too sure if we have 5,000 tractors working. We need over 72,000 in terms of arable land space.
Our collective effort must focus on addressing both demand and supply factors along with the persistent challenge of food price inflation.
Lawmakers posed critical questions to the Comptroller General of Customs.
That all the food items seized be sold to the vulnerables at a very minimal price. And you've told us you've started in Lagos. What stops you from giving directives simultaneously that they be sold? One wait for Lagos to finish before you come to Akwa Ibom, before you go to Abia State, before you go to Kaduna.
We felt that we needed to put in a plan, run it, and take some learnings from what we did in the first instance. You will need an exit plan to explain to so many other people who are waiting to collect bags of rice. And that was actually the issue we had in Lagos because the stampede happened after we have distributed the very last bag.
Almost 400 trillion is needed into agri-space. And most of this funding is not coming from the federal government, it's not coming from the subnational, but it's coming from the private sector.
In all, Nigerians hope for food security and economic growth. From the National Assembly, Mitare Ikben, NTA News.
As a step towards prioritizing protection of Nigerian child against online abuse and violence, stakeholders are calling for harmonization of laws in line with best global practices. This was during a public hearing on proposed Child Online Access Protection Bill 2023 and other issues of online violence against Nigerian child. National Assembly correspondent Issa Mohammed has more.
The law seeks to ensure protection of children from online abuse and violence. Stakeholders agree on the need to have a second look at existing laws on child protection to avoid duplication.
The bill will serve as a comprehensive framework to counter the many threats to our children. The bill includes measures to establish strict criteria for age verification on social media platforms, ensuring that children cannot access age-inappropriate content. It also mandates schools and educational institutions to incorporate digital literacy and online safety education into their curriculum. empowering our children with the knowledge and skills to navigate the internet world.
In this bill is that in every other country, it carries sanctions, punishment. If you're convicted for this, this is what the punishment should be. But here it only talks about civil liability, which is not enough to act as a deterrent to perpetrators. So that is one very area that I think this bill needs to be addressed.
Other issues brought up during the public hearing centered around funding, providing stringent punishment for perpetrators, powers of the e-commissioner, and adequate monitoring. The committee commended stakeholders for their contributions while recommending for a summit to harmonize ideas, suggestions, and pass related laws on child protection with the proposed one. From the National Assembly, Isa Muhammad, NTA News.
Minister of State for Education Yusuf Tanko Sununu is calling on those proposing for establishment of new educational institutions to exercise patience for now in view of the current economic realities in the country. This was during a public hearing on bill for an act to upgrade the Federal Polytechnic Wana to Federal University by the House Committee on Tertiary Education. National Assembly correspondent Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
The bill, sponsored by a member representing Afikpo and Ida Federal Constituency of Ebonyi State, Igaruwe Iduma, on the floor of the House leads to this public hearing. Representatives of the NUC, NAPTEC, Federal Ministry of Education, and other stakeholders gave their input on the desirability of the move.
We are not establishing a new institution. We are thinking of upgrading the foremost polytechnic in the Southeast, established in 1981.
It will not be nice for us to just look at the institution being converted to university. It will add no value.
We know we're already lagging behind as a country. For us to leapfrog and catch up with what is happening, the fourth technology revolution going on,
we must know that right now, our major issue in the country is out of school children. And we have all been moving from one place to another, saying that depending on the figure you use, we can say that we have a range of 10,600,000 to 20 million out of school children. And these are part of the major issue in the major thematic area in the 8 point of Mr. President's agenda, that we must get them back to school. The issue is not all of them will want to go and proceed to do degree in their future. Most of them are out of school and are adults. All they needed is an area they are going to work for few to get their basic education and knowledge, and also where we can attach them to get relevant skills that can stand on them.
The Committee on Tertiary Education put forward its recommendations, querying Federal Ministry of Justice for not honoring the invitation.
I therefore wish to assure you that as members of this committee, will continue to do our utmost best at all times. Also, our doors are always open, and we welcome any positive and important initiative, either in form of bills or motions targeted at improving the standard of university education in Nigeria.
The committee is expected to submit its report back to the plenary for consideration and possible passage. From the National Assembly, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Let's go to Sokoto, where there are concerns over economic hardship, and legislators are calling on the state government to consider the extension of Ramadan feeding centers to all the 23 local government areas in the state. The House resolution was made by Speaker Tukur Bala Bodinga after presentation of a motion of urgent public importance at plenary. Nuruddin Abdullahi Adili reports.
Member representing Tambuwal East,
Bashir Isa Sarkin Yaki stated that Sokoto state government has been providing Ramadan packages mostly in the state capitals and its environs to enable the less privileged break their fast with ease, and stresses the need to extend the gesture to cover all the 23 local government areas in the state. The program, the lawmaker noted, has impacted positively on the lives of the beneficiaries, considering the hardship being faced by many people in the country, particularly in the rural areas, which was caused by the high cost of foodstuffs and other essential commodities, makes life difficult to many families to afford a meal to break their fast. If the program is extended all over the state, it will go a long way in cushioning the effects of the high cost of living.
And considering the fact that the month of Ramadan is fast approaching, there is need for us to ensure that we do everything possible to make sure that we bring succor to our people.
Members who contributed in support of the matter underscored the importance of extending this gesture to every local government area in the state.
I call on my colleagues to support and call the state government to extend the feeding center to local government to ease the suffering of our constituents.
It will reduce hardship or economic hardship faced by our constituents so that it improve their social well-being and also go a long way in achieving 9-point agenda of His Excellency.
The Speaker, Tukurbala Bodinga, announces the House unanimous resolve to call on the state government as a matter of urgency to consider the extension of the Ramadan feeding centers to all the local government areas in the state. In Sokoto, Nuruddin Abdullah Adili, NTA News.
In Cross River State, the House has granted the approval for an offer of 10.2 billion naira credit facility for the maintenance and rehabilitation of roads. Oduak Etim reports that the approval was made after due consideration of a correspondence sent to the House by the state governor.
As the Cross River State government continues to execute laudable projects, paucity of funds is part of challenges frustrating the completion and project implementation plans. As such, Governor Basio too has decided to seek legislative backing to enable the state obtain a loan to address the decay in public infrastructure, including roads. It will be recalled that the Cross River State House of Assembly, during sitting on the 21st February 2024, received a request from the state governor to access loan. The letter signed by the secretary to the state government, Professor Anthony Waneno, was read by the deputy clerk of the House, Catherine Ubi.
The Honorable Speaker, Cross River State House of Assembly, Calabar, request for legislative backing for borrowings. I convey to Mr. Speaker and entire legislature the warm regards and best wishes of His Excellency the Governor. Following the pursuit of capital projects to ameliorate the decay in public infrastructure, the executive awarded several contracts to build and rehabilitate roads in the state.
After adoption of the correspondence as a document of the House, the request was committed to the Finance and Appropriation Committee for detailed consideration.
Greatest thing that even happened to us in the choice of the street that are selected and constructed in Carolina. Our governor has proven that he's people's first governor because the streets that have been captured are streets that have been abandoned for over 10 or 20 years.
I can remember clearly, even when we came initially when inaugurated the back to the assembly, we know how that is struggling to do that with you. Moving people every day to make sure that is what's possible. And today, the government has also related this space. And we can move to ski roads with ease.
The present government is doing very well, and I think that we should encourage them. The government of Cross River State has started with the upper area. My own opinion is that it is good to develop the upper area first.
The chairman of the committee, Cyril Omini, recently reported back to the House, noting that the committee met with relevant stakeholders while highlighting committee's observation.
It's a thing that after a careful and thorough consideration of the terms and conditions of this transaction and the enormous benefits the transaction brings for the
committee also wishes to commend First Bank Nigeria PLC for a good working relationship with the state.
The loan is expected to aid completion of the road rehabilitation that has already commenced.
The total look that Calabar is hearing today is something very commendable. Something very, very commendable. And I'm strongly believing that for this state government to come to ask for a loan, they would have hit the last couple in their profile before coming to ask for this loan. Whereas they had a little more, I know and I'm strongly believing that they would have pushed even further again. What the government of the day is doing, if every other governor in this country called Nigeria would do what the governor of Cross River State is doing, Nigeria will be a better place.
Part of the resolutions reached by the Cross River State House of Assembly is that upon completion of the said facility, updates on the road rehabilitation be laid before the State House of Assembly for information and necessary action, while relevant committee of the House will monitor implementation of this resolution and report back to the House accordingly. In Calabar, Uduak Etam, NTA News.
That's it on our package this evening, but you can still watch our news and other programs on our social media handles, scrolling on your screen. I am Abubakar Galadima. Thank you for watching and do have a wonderful evening.